When you first pass by the cemetery from the main road, you would think that it was just another big city cemetery with a number of tombs and, of course, all these that you see behind me. As we drove in here, we found that not only does the government recycle these particular tombs every 5 years. So in other words, people are buried here, and then 5 years later, to make room for the next batch of people that need the space, these bodies are taken out and just discarded. It's a different life here, folks. There are very few parts of the world that I haven't been, and the more time I spend here, not just in Asia, but here in the Philippines in particular, and right here in Manila, I realize that the children that live here, and some of you have heard me say it before, but I've got to say it again here because it just fits. It fits this situation. They live in a world they did not create. We are getting ready to start a Metro Sunday School here in this location. Sidewalk Sunday School right here in this cemetery, in this graveyard. Why? Because once I got here, I found out that there are over 1,000 families that live here in this graveyard. You know what that translates into? That translates into probably close to 4,000 people, half of those being children. Children that are being raised up here among the dead. And you tell me how much sense that makes, because I'm going to tell you something. I don't know. I'm standing here and I'm looking at this and I still can't figure this out. But when you are raised among the dead, how in the name of anything that's holy can you ever expect a child to understand life? There's only one thing that's going to bring life, and that's Jesus Christ. You know it, I know it, now they need to know it. I had to come back to the cemetery at night. It was just something that I knew I needed to do. It's one thing to be in a place like this during the day, seeing it, kind of a larger picture, but it was another thing to come back here at night. And I guess I needed to do this for me. I have never been the kind of man that's been afraid to face death. I've lived around death probably the biggest part of my life. And it's one thing for me to face it. It's one thing for me to be around it. It's one thing for me to come close to experiencing it myself in the attempts on my life. But when you grow up in a graveyard, when you call a cemetery your home, the only thing you can associate living with is an end of something. You're surrounded with it constantly. When you come out of your house and you see this, and I show you this because I don't want you to forget this. And if this gives you nightmares, then so be it. If this is more than you can handle, then so be it. I understand that a little bit, but that's why I had to come back. Because when you make yourself, when you force yourself to come around the urgency of this kind of thing, where you know what this is, when you know what's here, and you know what it's doing to the mind of the children that live here, I hope that this is enough to drive into your mind that if we don't reach these kids, if we don't bring hope here, if we don't bring life that's found in Jesus Christ and Him alone, then I'm going to tell you something, folks. Life will never come here because there is no life here, only death. But through your help and through the help of people all over the world that know that the only hope here is in Christ, life will come. It will come.